what Africa can expect from that summit, or what Africa should look for, basically. It's important maybe to mention first that several countries have been organizing summits with the continent for many years. China, Russia, European Union, France, UK, Turkey, and so on. Is Africa gaining something out of this? That's a good question that we still need to get answer to. But focusing on what's happening next week in Washington, D.C., I must say that currently Africa has a number of issues, a number of priorities to work on. And we believe that our leaders, when they go to Washington, they have to prioritize. And they need to look at what the U.S. can contribute in resolving some of those projects. And for me, the first one would be food security. The recent history has shown us that Africa needs to feed itself. Africa has about 60% of all the arable land in the world. And then Africa keep buying food with billions of dollars every year. So the problem is that we are not able to optimize the potential that we have. And America, on that issue, is able to support us technically to, I would say, modernize agriculture. So if there's one thing to look for when they are there, is to see how they can cooperate with American parts so they can improve agriculture. Second, investment in the continent. For many years, we have been talking about aid to Africa. We haven't seen any country in this world that was developed because of aid. So African youth today are not looking for aid, they're looking for investment. So they can use their skills, so they can take initiatives and produce goods. So it is important that this summit creates an opportunity for investors to come and invest, so that African can, finally face his own development through investment and not just by aid. And I'll mention the third things. There are so many other things, but the third thing might be maybe health system. Recent history again has shown us how much we are not prepared to pandemic and other stuff. So it is important that the collaboration between Africa and the rest of the world, including the United States.
Well, like you mentioned, we've had several summit partnership with Turkey, individual countries in Europe, and there seemed to be little gain in all of it. What is the possibility that after this summit, it will not just be mere talk, a gathering of leaders talking and then no implementation?
For me,
are there mechanisms put in place to ensure that whatever outcome is pursued to the latter?
Unfortunately, no. I would say even the summit between Africa and China has some structure and accountability mechanism. It is not the case so far with this second summit between Africa and the US. Just a reminder that President Obama was the one who organized the first summit in 2014, and there's no mechanism to follow up on what has been decided. So it is difficult to African people to point any impact out of the 2014 summit. So one strong point that our organizations are putting on the table is make sure you put together a follow-up and accountability mechanism so that whatever you discuss there has a kind of concretizations later after the summit. Imagine that we are having about 50 head of states. They will be flying 50 jets to Washington, D.C. Imagine what that costs for the continent. If they go in there with no accountability mechanisms, it's going to be like a shame. So it is important that they give count to African people on why they have traveled to Washington, D.C.